Part 172. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1711. Chapter 1711, as long as you give it to him, he will definitely like it. If it weren't for Xiao Angzhen, that shameless little bitch, you should have become famous a long time ago. By the way, I heard that the little has now taken refuge with Quan Dong. Is this true? Well, Xiao Mian knew about this. She is now signed to the agency under Quan Dong's name. Damn it, Zhang Luli shook his head and couldn't help but sigh. She is really willing to risk anything for the sake of fame. How dare she follow such a perverted man as Quan Dong? Doesn't she know how many people she has had before? Is this a female star who has been crippled? There is another one who is said to have mental problems and is still in a mental hospital. Quan Dong is well known in the circle as a perverted and cruel man. But he holds the power in his hands, and many people don't care how dangerous he is just for the sake of being famous. They all thought they would be the exception. I guess Xiao Angzhen thinks so too. She followed Quan Dong with a sense of luck. This is typical of people who even risk their lives for the sake of fame. Xiao Mian was indifferent to this and said calmly, whether it's good or bad, it's her own choice. She must also know what kind of person Quan Dong is. Since she still surrendered to Quan Dong, she has to bear all the consequences herself. Xiao Angzhen's life or death has nothing to do with her. She has no feelings for this so-called sister anymore. This is natural. She has done so many morally corrupt things. She deserves retribution. She deserves it. Xiao Mian just has no feelings for Xiao Angzhen, while Zhang Luli is filled with hatred. Seriously, I just wait and see if she will end well in Quan Dong's hands. Now that Suzy has received retribution, it's time to talk about her Xiao Angzhen. Since Suzy was sent to other countries, Xiao Mian has never heard from him again. Presumably, his life was not pleasant either. Mo Yesi is a very small-minded person emotionally. It is impossible for him to arrange for Suzy to enjoy happiness elsewhere. Mentioning this person again, Xiao Mian felt that Suzy seemed to be from the last century, very far away from her. If Zhang Luli hadn't suddenly mentioned him, she would have forgotten about him long ago. This pair of scumbag men and once made her disgusted, but now they are simply insignificant people to Xiao Mian. She was even grateful for this experience. Without this experience, she would not have met Mo Yesi. If she misses Mo Yesi, she thinks it will be a lifelong regret for her. Fortunately, God has his own plans for everything. The two of them got into the elevator while talking. Zhang Luli directly pressed the button on the men's clothing floor of the mall. She said to Xiao Mian, "Baby, I am calling you out this time. In addition to missing you very much and wanting to see you, there is actually something I want you to do for me." Xiao Mian smiled, "Lulu, when did you talk to me so politely? Tell me what you want me to do for you." "I want you to help me pick out a gift." "Who is this gift for, Mo Shixiu?" "Well, it will be his birthday in a while. And he has given me gifts, so I have to give them back no matter what." Zhang Luli thought for a while and then said, "I'm afraid that I don't have good taste in choosing gifts. He doesn't like it, so please give me a reference." "How come? As long as you give it to him, he will definitely like it." Speaking of Mo Shixiu's birthday, Xiao Mian suddenly thought that Mo Yesi's birthday seemed to be coming soon. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1712. Chapter 1712. It's you again, you shameless vixen. His and Mo Shixiu's birthdays are 1 month apart. Xiao Mian felt that it was time for her to prepare a birthday gift for Mo Yesi. Asterisk. Arrived upstairs. The two walked out of the elevator hand in hand. When they were about to enter a men's clothing store, they saw two people walking towards them. Chiao Mian Mian is wearing a mask and a peaked cap, and her hair is loose. Logically speaking, most people would not recognize her. But the man in front of him, wearing black clothes and black trousers, with a feminine and handsome face, recognized her at a glance. Gong Zili could not control his footsteps and walked towards Chiao Mian Mian. He walked so fast that the woman following him had to jog to barely keep up with him. The woman was wearing high-heeled shoes that were at least 10 centimeters long. The heels were sharp and thin, and she almost sprained her ankle after running for 2 steps. She looked at the man in front of him who still hadn't stopped. She bit her lip in dissatisfaction. After steadying her body, she quickly chased after him. While chasing, he shouted sweetly, "Brother Zili, please slow down and wait for me. I'm wearing high heels and can't keep up with your pace." Gong Zili turned a deaf ear and walked straight towards Chiao Mian Mian. He walked up to Chiao Mian Mian. When Zhang Luli saw him, he was stunned for a moment and said in surprise, "Gong, young master Gong." Gong Zili's eyes fell on Chiao Mian Mian and he stared at her for a few seconds. There was a hint of joy in his eyes, but he hid it well. "Chiao Mian Mian, is that you?" Although he asked this question, he had already confirmed Chiao Mian Mian's identity. As soon as I got closer to her, the faint fragrance wafted over. Except for her, he has never smelled the same scent on anyone else. This is a breath that is unique to her, like a label on her body. Chiao Mian Mian raised her head and was stunned when she saw him. She opened her mouth and was about to speak when she suddenly heard a sharp voice, "Why are you such a shameless vixen again? Did you find out that Brother Zili was here today, so you came here on purpose to pretend to meet him by chance?" Of. Hearing this voice, Chiao Mian Mian's face darkened slightly. Gong Zili's face also darkened. He turned his head, with anger in his eyes, and said coldly, "Shang Guanxing, no one asked you to speak, so shut up. Also, I'm not telling you not to follow me anymore. You have nothing to do here, please leave immediately." Shang Guanxing's eyes suddenly turned red when he yelled at her like this. Her resentment towards Chiao Mian Mian deepened. She felt that Gong Zili was protecting Chiao Mian Mian, a vixen. She was so angry that she pointed at Chiao Mian Mian's nose and cursed regardless of her own image and the influence around her, "Brother Zili, why are you protecting this shameless vixen?" Aunt Gong said, "I am your future wife. There is a shameless woman who wants to seduce my husband. Can't I scold her?" Shang Guanxing's voice was very loud. Seeing people around her looking towards them, she felt even more confident, as if the palace had really caught the mistress. She pointed at Chiao Mian Mian and cursed even more fiercely, "Chiao Mian Mian, I just went to the set to warn you last time. I told you not to get close to Brother Zili again. Why are you so shameless? Bai Yasheng is not enough to seduce you, and you still want to come here to seduce my man. A shameless vixen like you just goes around seducing other people's men just because you have some good looks." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1713. Chapter 1713. If you want to marry me, it's impossible in this life. It's just a thing that you can sleep with for money, but you still dare to compete with me for a man, you. Before Shang Guanxing could say her last words, there was a pop sound, and her face was knocked to the side. 5 fingerprints immediately appeared on his cheek. Gong Zili slapped her the face and said with a sinister look, "If you dare to say one more word, I will completely silence you. You want to marry me, it's impossible in this life. I'm disgusted by a woman like you, get out of here right now." This slap is quite powerful. Shang Guanxing was beaten back several steps and fell directly to the ground. The fall was so hard that she screamed out in pain and burst into tears. Mong Zili's cold eyes stayed on her for a second, and then turned away. He said to Chiao Mian Mian, "Ignore her, she is just a crazy woman. I have nothing to do with her at all. I don't know what my mother said to her, but my mother is my mother, and I am me. She can't decide anything about me." Chiao Mian Mian. When she was about to take action just now, Gong Zili had already taught Shang Guanqing a lesson before her. Seeing Shang Guanqing fall to the ground in a helter-skelter state, with half of her face swollen and crying loudly, covering her beaten face and injured knee, Chiao Mian Mian felt that she didn't need to take action anymore. Gong Zili's attack was really ruthless. With that slap just now, Chiao Mian Mian felt that he didn't have any strength left. The half of Shang Guanqing's face was swollen like a pig's head. The 5 blood-red finger marks were still clearly floating on her face. You can see how powerful that slap was. In fact, Chiao Mian Mian was surprised by Gong Zili's behavior. She had heard from Bai Yusheng before that the Gong family and the Shang Guan family were interested in getting married. He beat Shang Guanqing in public like this, and beat Shang Guanqing like this. The marriage between the two families is probably. Mr. Gong, these are your business and have nothing to do with me. Although Gong Zili helped her vent her anger, Chiao Mian Mian would not be grateful to him for it. On the contrary, her attitude was not very good, and her tone was even a little cold. "Mr. Gong, this is all your business and has nothing to do with me. You don't need to say these things to me. I don't want to be your friend anymore. Misunderstand." Gong Zili was stunned, and the expression on his face froze for a few seconds. After Chiao Mian Mian finished speaking, she ignored him. She turned her attention to Shang Guanqing, who was still crying on the ground. She took 2 steps forward and walked to Shang Guanqing's feet. She lowered her eyes and said coldly, "Miss Shang Guan, I don't care about you and Gong Zili either. What's the relationship? This is my last warning to you. I have nothing to do with Gong Zili. I have a boyfriend and we have a very good relationship. If you have paranoia, go to the hospital for treatment as soon as possible. Don't always imagine that everyone is going to steal a man from you. This is a disease and it needs to be treated." Shang Guanqing covered her face, raised her head with red and swollen eyes, and said angrily, "You shameless vixen, you! You are a vixen when you open your mouth, you are a vixen when you close your mouth. Is this what Shang Guan family tutors are like?" Chiao Mian Mian sneered, with disdain in her eyes. "Only beautiful women are called vixens, so I just think you are jealous of my good looks. People, if they are not good looking enough, they can still change their appearance through some means, but if the soul is ugly, then it is really hopeless." Shang Guanqing's chest heaved with anger. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1714. Chapter 1714. Who would want to marry such a woman? Home. Bitch, shameless, vixen. Chiao Mian Mian looked at her ugly appearance like a shrew, and the smile on her lips became more and more disdainful. She was thinking, no wonder Gong Zili looked down on Shang Guanqing. There is nothing about her words and deeds that looks like that of a so-called wealthy daughter. Even daughters educated in ordinary families will not be like this. It's so embarrassing to act like this in public. Chiao Mian Mian only glanced at her lightly. For a simple-minded person like Shang Guanqing with little fighting ability, Chiao Mian Mian didn't even bother to talk to her. There are more and more people watching. Because of Shang Guanqing's loud shouting, many people knew Chiao Mian Mian's identity, and some young people who frequently browsed Weibo naturally recognized Chiao Mian Mian quickly. This group of people gathered around Chiao Mian Mian and pointed. "Isn't this Chiao Mian Mian, the actress who is often searched on Weibo?" I said it looked familiar. It turned out to be Chiao Mian Mian. What on earth is going on? Is the woman lying on the ground Gong Zili's fiancée? Just now she called Xiao Mian a vixen and seduced Gong Zili. Is that true? She seems to be the daughter of the Shang Guan family. A friend of mine works in the Gong family and said that the Gong family might be marrying the Shang Guan family. So, the fiancé thing might be true. Shang Guan family. It matches well with the Gong family. It seems that the Shang Guan family only has an only daughter. If the Gong family marries her, it is equivalent to taking the Shang Guan family's property as well. This is the real power. Let's join forces. The Gong family is already very powerful, and their position is very stable without relying on the Shang Guan family. I see that Gong Zili is not interested in this Miss Shang Guan at all. This person fell to the ground, and he didn't help her. A handful. This marriage must be the intention of the two parents, and Gong Zili is definitely not willing to do it. If the woman lying on the ground is really the daughter of the Shang Guan family, then the tutoring etiquette of the Shang Guan family is too bad. She doesn't look like a daughter of a famous family. She is almost a shrew. No wonder the young master dislikes it so much. I would like to marry this kind of woman back home. I only care about her saying that Xiao Mian seduced Gong Zili. Is this true? I really don't know, but it can be seen that Gong Zili is very protective of Xiao Mian. I don't know if it's because Xiao Mian's boyfriend and he are brothers, and he is helping his brother's girlfriend to vent his anger, or if he and Xiao Mian are really it has a leg. Xiao Mian heard more or less the discussions around her. She has thought that maybe she will be a hot search again soon. Even the hot search titles have been thought of by her. Hashtag 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 hashtag. She felt that she was quite unlucky too. It is completely an unforeseen disaster. She has no personal contact with Miyazawa, and there is no talk of any friendship between them. Between them, those who are innocent can no longer be innocent. But even so, it was still misunderstood. She went out for a nice stroll today and bumped into Gong Zili and Shang Guanqing. She didn't even know why Shang Guanqing was so hostile to her. She had to think that she had seduced Gong Zili. Xiao Mian didn't intend to get too entangled with Shang Guanqing. She was afraid that there would be more and more people watching and she would not be able to get away. She doesn't have anything, and she doesn't want Zhang Luli to be criticized along with her. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1715. Chapter 1715. Why, just because this mall is mine. Lolo, let's go. She took Zhang Luli's arm and turned around to leave. Suddenly, a man rushed out from the crowd, rushed directly in front of her, stretched out his hand and pushed her hard. What rushed over was a girl who looked to be only 15 or 16 years old. She pushed Xiao Mian and shouted angrily, "Xiao Mian, you bad woman. You caused brother Yili to suffer such serious injuries on his hand. It hurt him so much that he had to retreat. You hurt him like this and you are still walking around here as if nothing happened. You vicious woman, please give me back my good brother Yili." No one expected that a person would suddenly rush out. Xiao Mian didn't even expect it. So without her being on guard at all, she was pushed back several steps and fell to the ground. Baby. Zhang Luli was also frightened by this sudden situation, and it took him several seconds to react. Seeing Xiao Mian fall to the ground, her expression changed and she immediately ran over to help her up. But someone moved faster than her. Almost in the blink of an eye, Zhang Luli saw that Gong Zili had reached Xiao Mian's side and knelt down to help her. He grabbed Xiao Mian's arm. It was rare to see a hint of nervousness emerge on the man's face, which had always had a feminine expression. "Xiao Mian, how are you feeling?" Xiao Mian opened her mouth, and just as she was about to speak, she saw the girl who had just pushed her to the ground rushing over again. The girl looked indignant and seemed to want to take action. "You are a harmful person. Brother Yuli is kind-hearted and will not care about you. I will vent my anger on him today. The girl said and raised her hand. Just before he touched Xiao Mian, Gong Zili stood up and stood in front of Xiao Mian, kicking her away. The girl fell to the ground all of a sudden. The fall was probably a bit hard. She turned pale in pain and cried. At this time, the mall security guard who noticed the movement came over. When he saw a few people falling on the ground, and then saw the gloomy and scary Gong Zili, he was stunned, and immediately said respectfully, "Young Master Gong, this way what happened, this is." Gong Zili looked at the girl who fell to the ground with sharp eyes, and said word by word in a cold voice, "Take this troublemaker away. She will never be allowed to enter this mall again in the future." As soon as these words were spoken, there was an uproar around him. The girl who fell to the ground raised her head, her eyes were red and swollen, and she gritted her teeth and said, "Who are you? What qualifications do you have to never let me enter this mall? I just taught a bad-hearted woman a lesson, why do you say that I am making trouble? You touched me and hurt me. I'm going to sue you and make you pay." There was no warmth in Gong Zili's eyes, and his narrow eyes narrowed little by little. "Why, just because this shopping mall is mine. Do you want to pay for it? Don't worry, no matter how much you should pay, it won't be less you." The girl was stunned and her eyes widened in shock. Although Gong Zili is not a low-key person, many people know him as the crown prince of the Gong family. But the girl is young after all, and most of the time she just chases stars. It is normal for little girls not to recognize wealthy young men like Gong Zili and the others, who are not public figures. "What are you still doing?" Gong Zili was obviously angry, his face was extremely ugly. "Take her out." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1716. Chapter 1716. I carried her to the hospital. After he finished speaking, his long and cold eyes narrowed, he turned his head, glanced at Shang Guanqing, who was still lying on the ground with a gnashing expression on his face, and said coldly, "Take her away with you." Hearing this, several security guards didn't dare to delay. They immediately stepped forward and pulled the girl up from the ground, and forcibly took her away. When Shang Guanqing reached out to catch her, she reacted very violently. She waved the guard's hand and opened it violently. She shouted in a sharp voice, "I am Shang Guanqing, the daughter of the Shang Guan family. You all get out of here and don't touch her. If any of you dare to touch me, I'll make you walk around without food." She made such a fuss that the security guards were really frightened. They are also considered employees of the Gong family, so they have naturally heard about the marriage between the Gong family and the Shang Guan family. And they also saw it when Shang Guanqing and Gong Zili were together before. For a while, they really didn't dare to touch this woman who was very likely to become their future boss's wife. The security guard looked at Gong Zili, as if asking him what he meant. Gong Zili said angrily, "Don't you understand what I say? Take her away." "But, Miss Shangguan." Gong Zili was extremely angry and sneered, "It seems that you would rather be fired." "No, no, Master Gong, we will take Miss Guan away immediately. I will be fired without obeying the command." Several security guards no longer have any hesitation. They reached out again. Regardless of the struggle and resistance of Shang Guanqing, she dragged her up from the ground. "Brother Zili, I don't want to leave. Let me go, get out of my way, don't touch me. Brother Zili." "Gong Zili, you have gone too far. If you treat me like this, I will tell Aunt Gong everything you have done." Shang Guanqing was being escorted by several security guards. As he walked further and further away, his voice became farther and farther away, until it is completely inaudible. The rest of the onlookers were also evacuated away by the security guards who came one after another. It's just that some people are not willing to leave yet and are looking this way from a distance. After Chiao Mian fell down, she wanted to stand up on her own. But when she tried to move, her ankle immediately started to hurt. The unbearable pain made it impossible for her to stand up from the ground. She tried to move a few more times, but her face turned pale from the pain and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Zhang Luli noticed something strange about her, squatted down, looked at her injured leg, and said anxiously, "Baby, what's wrong with your foot? Is it injured?" Ye Chiao Mian took a deep breath and endured the pain and said, "My feet seem to be sprained and I can't stand up." "What, sprained foot?" Zhang Luli's expression changed and he frowned, "Then you have to go to the hospital quickly." Chiao Mian glanced at her legs and sighed in frustration, "But I can't stand up now." Zhang Luli immediately said, "I will carry you." "You?" Chiao Mian raised her head and glanced at her, "Can you move your back?" Although Zhang Luli is 1.7 meters tall, but she is still on the thin side. Zhang Luli was about to speak when a voice came from above his head, "I'll carry her to the hospital." Zhang Luli and Chiao Mian raised their heads at the same time. The expressions on both people's faces were a little startled. Gong Zili squatted down and faced Chiao Mian, "Ask your friends to help you up. The hospital is nearby. I will drive you there." Zhang Luli turned his head and looked at Chiao Mian, then glanced at Gong Zili who was squatting on the ground. A strange color flashed in his eyes. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1717. Chapter 1717 has become somewhat obvious. Mian, let Mr. Gong take you to the hospital. Although he already felt that Gong Zili's behavior was indeed a bit abnormal, Zhang Luli thought about it and still did not refuse him. "Let's go to the hospital to see you first." "What's wrong with the leg? If it's really injured, it's not good to be delayed." Chiao Mian pursed her lips, and after a few seconds of silence, she nodded. Zhang Luli carefully helped her onto Gong Zili's back. When Chiao Mian lay on Gong Zili's back, she could feel that his body seemed to stiffen. After a few seconds, he put his hands behind her and slowly stood up with her behind his back. Zhang Luli took another deep look at him, and then said, "Young Master Gong, I'll trouble you." Miyazawa said goodbye and walked toward the elevator with Chiao Mian on his back. Zhang Luli stood there for a few seconds and followed. Asterisk. With Gong Zili's help, he arrived at the hospital quickly. Someone was already waiting at the hospital. As soon as Gong Zili carried Chiao Mian on his back, a nurse came over with a stretcher. Gong Zili carefully placed Chiao Mian on the stretcher. "Mr. Gong," the doctor stepped forward and called respectfully. Gong Zili's eyes have been following Chiao Mian, with a hint of worry hidden in his narrow, dark eyes. Her leg is injured and she can't stand. Check her right away to see where she is injured. The doctor hurriedly said, "Don't worry, young master, we will examine this young lady immediately." Gong Zili nodded. Seeing Chiao Mian's face turned pale in pain, he frowned, and his heart felt a little uncomfortable as if something was holding it. What else could he do now except watch her feel uncomfortable? To avoid suspicion. Even if he cares about her and worries about her, he can't make it too obvious. If she is his woman, he must be holding her in his arms now to comfort her. Rather than being like he is now, he can only hide some of his emotions. No matter how worried or anxious you are, you can only watch from the sidelines. But Gong Zili didn't know. His supposed restraint has become somewhat obvious. Even someone as slow as Zhang Luli could see something was wrong. Asterisk. There was no major problem with Chiao Mian's legs, but the bones were misaligned. The doctor reset them and she was able to stand normally. Even so, Gong Zili asked the doctor again and again, have you checked clearly, does she really have no other problems? Mr. Gong, please rest assured. We have done a comprehensive examination for this young lady. She indeed only has a sprained foot, and it has been fixed for her now. As for other things, she still has some scratches on her body, but they are not serious. Just apply some plaster. Gong Zili nodded, turned around and asked Xiao Mian, how do you feel now? Is there anything else that feels uncomfortable? Xiao Mian shook her head, I'm fine now, Mr. Gong, thank you for sending me to the hospital. Luoluo and I are ready to leave. You can go and do your business. I'm really sorry for taking up so much of your time. What Xiao Mian said was very polite. Being polite, there is also a hint of alienation. Gong Zili naturally heard it. A trace of sadness flashed in his narrow phoenix eyes. After a few seconds of silence, he nodded, since you are fine, I am relieved. Well, I do have something else to do, so I will take the first step. Xiao Mian nodded slightly, Mr. Gong, walk slowly. Gong Zili's eyes flashed when he looked at her, and his thin lips moved, as if he still had something to say. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1718. Chapter 1718, Does Gong Zili have any thoughts about me? But in the end, he said nothing. He also nodded slightly to Xiao Mian, then turned and left. After Gong Zili left, Xiao Mian rubbed her sore ankle. She looked at the time and said a little regretfully, Luoluo, I agreed to accompany you to choose gifts. But now, instead, you accompanied me to the hospital. Baby, don't say that. If you are so polite to me, I will be angry. You can choose gifts any day. If something happens to you, I will blame myself to death. After all, if I hadn't asked you to come out, you won't encounter these things today. Okay, Xiao Mian thought that even if she went to participate in a variety show, she would still have to wait for a while, so she said, then pick a time tomorrow and I will go shopping with you. Okay. Zhang Luli was still a little worried about her, is there really nothing wrong with you? If you feel uncomfortable, you must tell me. Xiao Mian nodded, it's really okay. Okay, it's time, let's find a place to have dinner. Have you made an appointment with your boyfriend tonight? Will I affect your date? I'll just tell him if it has any impact. Let's go, let's find a place to eat. Asterisk. Finally, the place to eat was chosen at a hot pot restaurant. Zhang Luli drank a little wine. She thought about what happened in the mall, thought about it, and couldn't help but ask, baby, what's going on with Shang Guansheng? Is she really Gong Zili's fiancée? I think Gong Zili looks very cute. I hate her. Xiao Mian took a piece of hairy belly and heated it. I don't know. But I heard from my brother that the Gong family intends to marry with the Shang Guan family. As for whether there will be a marriage, I don't know. You and Gong Zili obviously have a very ordinary relationship. Why does Shang Guanxing think that you and Gong Zili have an affair? Zhang Luli just finished asking, and suddenly thought of Gong Zili's previous behavior. Her eyes sparkled. He blinked, and there was a hint of depth in his eyes. I don't know if she is thinking too much. She felt that Gong Zili did seem to have something wrong. Although she didn't know him well, she had heard various stories about him and knew that he was not someone who would casually defend others, nor was he a very considerate and attentive person. But he not only protected Xiao Mian, he also offered to take her to the hospital. And the way he looked nervous when he asked the doctor to do a comprehensive examination on Xiao Mian. If it's because he and Mo Yesi are brothers, then he cares a little too much about his brother's woman. The concern is a bit beyond the normal range. How do I know? Maybe it's because there were some scandals between Gong Zili and I and she saw it. Xiao Mian didn't know what Shang Guanxing was crazy about. Zhang Luli hesitated for a while, and then said her guess, "Baby, do you feel that Gong Zili treats you a little differently?" Chiao Mian was startled, and the freshly permed belly fell into the bowl. "It's different? Luo, what do you want to say?" "I think so." Zhang Luli hesitated for a few seconds before he said, "I know you must only have a male in your heart. But that Gong Zili, he seems to have thoughts about you. Or is it because of this that Shang Guanqing misunderstood?" Chiao Mian's face changed slightly. "Gong Zili has any thoughts about me?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1719. Chapter 1719. Shenro is Gong Zili's savior. Zhang Luli nodded. "I think he treats you differently from others." "Don't you feel that he treats you very well? No matter whether he will marry Shang Guanqing or not, he treats Shang Guanqing like that in public. It will affect the relationship between the Shang Guan family and the Gong family. Everything he did was because of Chiao Mian. To say that he was only willing to help Chiao Mian in this way because of his friendship with Mo Yesi, Zhang Luli felt that it was a bit hard to say no. Moreover, there was something wrong with the way Gong Zili looked at Chiao Mian. That look is not like looking at an ordinary friend. Zhang Luli also hoped that he was overthinking it. After all, Gong Zili and Mo Yesi were very good friends. If Gong Zili really had any thoughts about Chiao Mian, it would definitely not be a good thing. But out of a woman's intuition, she felt that she shouldn't have thought too much about it. After listening, Chiao Mian was silent for a long time. In fact, not only Zhang Luli felt that Gong Zili treated her differently, she also felt it herself. At first, she thought it was because Gong Zili knew that he had misunderstood her and felt guilty about her, so he was being extra nice to her. But now Zhang Luli said this. Probably not. After a moment, she secretly analyzed it in her mind and felt that the possibility of Gong Zili falling in love with her was still relatively small. She bit her lip and analyzed her inner thoughts to Zhang Luli. Gong Zili has someone he likes, and it's impossible for him to like me. He probably helped because of his friendship with Mo Yesi. Zhang Luli didn't believe it. She raised her eyebrows. Is there someone Gong Zili likes? Who is it? Shenro. It was because Chiao Mian knew this that she felt that Gong Zili could not like her. I also heard what Yan Shaoqing said. He said that Gong Zili has been in love with Shenro for many years, and he has only been thinking about Shenro in his heart. He has been waiting for Shenro. As long as Shenro is willing, he can immediately be with Shenro. Marry softly. And you know, Shenro means something very different to him. The meaning is different. What's the difference? Shenro was Gong Zili's savior. I also heard from Yan Shaoqing that one year Gong Zili fell into the water and almost drowned. It was Shenro who saved him. Gong Zili was special to her. Grateful, so Shenro's position in Gong Zili's heart is different. Zhang Luli was stunned, a little surprised, and said, "Is there such a thing? Is Shenro still Gong Zili's savior? If Gong Zili likes Shenro, she believes it." She still remembers how Gong Zili defended Shenro that time in the restaurant. For Shenro, he and Mo Yesi were at loggerheads. But Shenro also saved Gong Zili? This surprised Zhang Luli. Yet. So Gong Zili's feelings for her will not change easily. If this is the case, it may be because of his friendship with the male god. But what? But if Shenro is so different in Gong Zili's heart and has saved her, why didn't the Gong family help when something happened to the Shen family? Gong Zili should be in charge of the Gong family now. If he wants to help, it can help to some extent. Don't you think it's strange? After what Zhang Luli said, Jiao Mian also felt that something was not normal. Because some time ago, Shen Ro went on blind dates because of the Shen family's affairs. She knew clearly that Gong Zili liked her. She can completely separate from Miyazawa. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1720. Chapter 1720. In the end, there is no cure. Furthermore, Gong Zili probably wouldn't refuse her. Even if he couldn't completely help the Shen family get out of the predicament, he would still help to some extent. Judging from Shen Ro's various behaviors and the current situation of the Shen family, it was obvious that Gong Zili was not helpful. Even with a little help, the Shen family would not be in such a miserable state. Although Shen's company has not yet declared bankruptcy, Shen's current situation is almost like bankruptcy. It is the kind of person who is unable to recover. If Gong Zili still likes Shen Ro, can he just watch the Shen family like this? Can he accept Shen Ro going on a blind date with another man? According to Yan Shaoqing, as long as Shen Ro is willing, Gong Zili can marry her at any time. It is better for Shen Ro to marry Gong Zili than to go on a blind date with other men. Gong Zili's conditions are far inferior to those of her blind dates. So, baby, are you sure that Gong Zili really likes her mother? If a man likes a woman, won't he always stick with her when she is in the most difficult time? Perhaps there was some misunderstanding between him and Shen Ro. Jiao Mian thought for a while and then said, anyway, I don't think Gong Zili is interested in me. She and Mo Yesi are both married, and Gong Zili also knows this. It is said that a friend's wife should not be deceived. No matter what Miyazawa did, he would never fall in love with his brother's wife. What's more, Jiao Mian doesn't think she has such charm. Maybe Zhang Luli shrugged, it would be best if he is not interested in you. I also hope that I am wrong. Otherwise, how can he be worthy of the male and covet his brother's wife? Isn't that a bastard? However, Zhang Luli still felt that Gong Zili had impure thoughts towards Jiao Mian. Everything else can be interpreted as brotherly love. But what about the way he looked at Jiao Mian? Asterisk. Come out of the hospital. Gong Zili was sitting in the car, but he didn't start the car for a long time. In his mind, he recalled over and over again the feeling he had when he was carrying Jiao Mian on his back. That was the first time he was so close to her. When he was carrying her, he could feel her body temperature. And the faint fragrance on her body. The distance while carrying her was actually very short, but in his heart, it was a beautiful memory that he could never erase. At that time, he really wished that time could stay at that moment for a long time. Perhaps, it would be nice if that section of the road could be longer. He wanted to carry her on his back for the rest of his life. Gong Zili discovered a very bad thing, that is, he seemed to be sinking deeper and deeper. He seemed to have fallen into a swamp. The more he struggled, the deeper he fell. At the end, there is no hope. He thinks that liking someone should be a very sweet and beautiful thing. But he didn't feel it at all. Perhaps she has already sensed something. That's why I was so cold and distant towards him. Miyazawa sat in the car for a long time, and when he was about to go back, his cell phone rang. He picked up the phone and looked at it. When he saw the caller ID, he couldn't help but frown. It was the palace lady who called. Even before Gong Zili answered the phone, he could already guess why Mrs. Gong was calling. He picked up, "Mom." As soon as I shouted, I heard the angry voice of Mrs. Gong, "What did you do to Ching Ching? Not only did you beat her, but you also drove her out of the mall. Is this true?" End of this chapter.